Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining our webinar today. My name is Stephen Phillips. I'm CTO of Thea Interactive, and today we're going over how to create a remote VR design review session in 10 minutes or less with Optim for Unreal Engine. This is our second webinar today, and we will be doing these webinars more regularly to keep you guys up to date on what is new with Optim, and doing some deep dives into different features. So definitely keep following us on social media and keep in touch for the latest and greatest. So first, I'm going to go over the overview of Optim. What is it, and how much do we cover? And then there's going to be a live demo of our toolkit functionality, which is both an in-editor tool and also the gateway into our collaborative templates. And then I'll go into more on how to set up our collaborative templates and show you the exact process and a few heads up on how it might work in your workflow. And then we are definitely going to have a lot of time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please submit them. I'll try to come up with some questions if I didn't get around to explaining everything in detail. But we're really about interacting with the customers. So we're also open for any emails or anything you want to set up at a later time as well. So first, what is Optim? Optim is a suite of tools to accelerate the real-time rendering pipeline. Specifically built for Unreal Engine, we are trying to help you along the way from bringing in your models to Unreal, working with your scenes while you've got them there in the editor, and finally helping to publish and package compelling content for yourself or your customers. And so we tackled these three different domains of the Unreal pipeline with three different sub-products inside Optim. The first is what we call the importer. And the importer is an automated data prep tool that essentially intercepts any of your incoming Datasmith or CAD imports and does what we call rules. You can set up a series of filters and actions to select meshes within your incoming scene, get the overview of what the complexity of that file is like, and then set up that exact process that you need for your workflow. So that could be creating levels of detail for complex meshes, deleting meshes entirely so they don't ever make it into your scene, replacing materials on import so that you don't have to do that by hand, and many other common daily activities like that you could automate ahead of time. And that's available in our enterprise offering. What we're going into a little more detail here for the live demo is going to be our in-editor toolkit. So regardless of how you have your content coming into Unreal Engine, there's going to be some tweaks and changes that you need to make to it along the way. So the Optim in-editor toolkit is aimed at simplifying the Unreal Engine. And we do that by offering a really easy interface for a lot of your common daily activities in the editor. And similar to the importer, we offer a lot of optimization tweaks and typical utilities that you're used to doing in the traditional Unreal Engine interface, like creating LODs or decimating your meshes, grouping objects into different clusters. And we can do this and many more things right from Toolkit, right in the viewport, without any of the extra windows and detailed panels and scrolling and all the more complex settings that are hidden within those Unreal Engine menus. And then what you're here to see really is our new collaboration templates. So right out of the box, the Optim plugin can give you a multi-user collaborative experience with a variety of design review tools. So whether you're using your own content, your own architectural scene, for example, or our conference room that we give you, which is a blank concrete area that you can fill with your own models, you get out of the box a voice chat, multi-user connectivity across the internet, and more tools like a virtual camera in there that you can render out images from, whiteboard and pen where you can interactively sketch and collaborate in that way, and more tools coming out to really help you make the most of your real-time content. So without further ado, I can open up an example scene and show you a little bit of how you may actually use Optim. This is a project from an old customer of ours, Getty's Group out of Chicago. They do a lot of great design work. And this wasn't imported via the importer. This wasn't anything special. It's an old project we've had around, and yet in less than 10 minutes, far less than 10 minutes, I can create a collaborative VR experience right within this scene. Now, first, I would love to show you some of the other toolkit functionality that we have. The Optim plugin that is really easy to install is nested in your toolbar and launches the toolkit, which is also a launcher for any of our other tools. So this is really your gateway into all of our functionality. It's a separate window that you can move around at will to any of your monitors or somewhere else on your screen. And you have your account info and links to documentation and support right here on the front, as well as launching the importer if that's of interest to you. But we also have these other left-hand menu items here for accessing the other tools, functions, and menus from our Optim suite. So for example, one of those first ones is our selection sets. And this is a really convenient way to select many objects within your scene without needing to click one by one on assets or click within your outliner and shift click somewhere else, which can get really tedious and start building up a lot of effort. So what we can do is filter any assets by something like a name. So it looks like a lot of these chairs in here have a file name of something containing stool. So I can type in stool and hit select and automatically select any of those assets. And then that makes it really easy to go and do some further optimization to them. And you can select not just by name, but by material that they have assigned to them. Like you could select any objects in the scene that have a particular concrete or a particular metal in them. And you can also do it based on their location, their physical size, whether you're using actor bounds or the static mesh size. We even offer a selection volume where you can actually spawn a box in the scene and move it around, and it will select anything that is inside of it. And this is really handy if you were to keep flying around your scene and needing to select the same assets over and over, if you were testing different settings back and forth, for example. And so regardless of what you have selected, we also would really love to show off a lot of the different tools that we have. I will actually go back and use the name filter to get all these tools again to show off our clustered merging. Clustered merging is one of those utilities that is really handy for creating a real-time rendering scene. If you've got tens of thousands of objects or just too many things in one spot, that can really bog down performance if you're targeting VR, or perhaps it just bogs down your rendering time if you're making linear content. So you can select any numbers and any types of assets. And using our clustered merging tool that's here in this optimization panel, we can use the quadrants method, which is just one of our algorithms, and specify how many objects should be in each group. So it's a slider where you can type in your own values, and I can pick out 5 meshes per merge. And I could apply it and perform the action, get these new static meshes, preserve all UVs, preserve all the quality, preserve all the materials. I can also just do a really quick preview. So these colors that are appearing are the different groups that would be created. So any of the yellow assets would become one object, the red assets would be one object, the green, and so forth. Really great way to see what you're about to do to your scene. Really great way to preview what this optimization can do. Because instead of having, the 50 objects right here, I can end up with just 5. And it's a really quick way to get the most bang for your buck. And you can also undo it. I can get rid of that preview really quickly and show off a couple of these other optimizations that are really handy for the day-to-day Unreal stuff. For example, levels of detail are a really common and essential function for creating any optimized scene. So I can go into this LOD view mode, and these colors represent the levels of detail switching in and out. So I have really high quality meshes up front, and then they decrease in quality as you go back. really common thing in game engine software. It's been there just about forever. But the thing is that it's typically a very complicated process. So I can select a mesh, and to apply LODs traditionally, I'd have to open up the static mesh editor, find in here the correct LOD section, which there are about 3 of them, pick out the right group or configure my settings, and then click apply, and then do that for the next asset. But with the toolkit, you can change all of the settings really, really quickly on the fly. So I can select one asset, many different types of assets, go to the LOD section here, level of detail. These ones already have LODs that I applied earlier. I could remove those if needed, and they just go back to normal. And then I can create new ones. We offer a smart preset for quite a few of these different options. Smart means that we actually look at the size of the asset and the general complexity and pick out what we think is the right setting for you. If you don't like what we do or you don't really trust us, you're welcome to use the presets that are here that are based on Unreal Engine ones. You can also completely customize it according to the settings that you want. But anyways, I can just click the level of detail generation, and it'll just go really quickly, one by one, and process the LEDs for those meshes. So there's no extra windows, no extra panels, and yet they are all applied, and I get that same optimization, but much, much faster. Similarly, we do the same thing for light map resolutions. So if I go to the light map visualization mode here for light map density, red equals really dense, high quality static lighting, and green equals less quality. And we have a light map resolution feature right here in the toolkit, where we offer you the option to use low, medium, high presets, or completely customize a very specific resolution for any of your meshes. And again, traditionally, if I wanted to change the resolution of this chair, especially if I wanted it to be populated for every chair of that type, I'd have to open up that asset, scroll to the correct area of the general settings, expand certain areas. I've already lost track of it. And type in a value, literally a value of 1024 by 1024, something like that. But here, again, I can select any asset and choose a resolution like low. And as soon as I deselect, you'll see that they're all green. Or I can go to high, and you'll see that they are all red now. And that makes it far, far faster if you're ever used to flying around a scene, picking out individual assets and typing in individual values for all these different settings like that. And another quick one that I'd love to show is the decimation, which quite a few of our customers have really high resolution models. So typically you'd have to go into external software, or you'd have to, again, dig around with settings in order to change the poly count of a mesh. If this chair, for example, was far too high poly with all those different leather bands in there, I can use our decimation feature to, again, rely on like a smart preset, or specifically say that I want 99% of its polygons to disappear. And then they do, and it looks pretty terrible, but I could always reel that back in because it's non-destructive. So I could completely undo it, or I could hone in on the right setting for me. And if I wanted the exact poly count of that asset, I could open up that mesh editor and see what it is at any time. So we offer a variety of tools like that, jacketing, defeaturing, some other ones that are custom to us, like destroying overlapping objects that are perfectly face on face. And we also have a variety of other utilities, like scheduling a light build, which means you could actually tell your static light builds to begin at 9 o'clock at night. And that way it's not going to bother you, and it's not going to bother your other network machines. Or we have stuff like completely flattening the hierarchy of your entire scene, removing all the parenting, and then cleaning up empty actors that actually don't have any components in them, which could save you a lot of editor performance. And if you have any other bothersome things that happen in Unreal, please let us know, because we would love to just add it right here. We really built this for our own team, who handles quite a few Unreal Engine projects. So if it's messing up your workflow, it's probably messing up ours as well, and we can add it in. So that's a brief overview of the random stuff you can do in the toolkit for your in-editor optimizations. And then the final menu that's there in the toolkit is the template setup. In this template setup, is going to become even more clear in a soon-to-be-released version of Optim. But at this moment, it is a very simple button for downloading and installing. So regardless of what you've done to your project or what type of project you have, you can just click this button. And based on your internet connection, it could be a few seconds or it could be several minutes. But I've already actually downloaded this for a different project, so it was instantaneous. And as soon as I click the Restart Engine button, it's going to restart my project, which it is a live demo, so it might take a little bit. But this will automatically configure all the config settings for all the networking replication, all the voice communication, all of the advanced post-process effects that we use. And it will also inject all of the content and avatars and the programming for our multi-user sessions. So once this project comes back up, which it is loading right now, it'll have a brand new folder inside of it. And that will be the Optim content folder, which also has all of the blueprints there for you. So you could just run with it, get the out-of-the-box experience that I'll show you how to set up. And you can also completely customize it. So if you don't like our avatars, if you don't like our tools, if you need a custom tool, it's fully extendable and you can do what you want if you're an advanced user. There we go. Sorry for the wait. So this is that same old project, but now if I go to that root content folder, I've got an Optim folder. And it has quite a bit of stuff in there. You almost don't need to touch any of it. If you were to just package this game right now, file, package project, Windows 64, this would give you our multi-user collaborative session, and it would default to our conference room level, which I will show you later. The only thing you need to change right now, if you want it to load your custom level, is you can just search here in the content browser for the word game. And the BPC game instance is just this one class with this one parameter to change to set the game up for your level. And in this class is a starting map thing here in the details panel. And so instead of conference room, this would be bar deck. And so that's all the setup there is in order to get this thing VR ready or desktop ready, if that's what you're using. And all you have to do is do the file, package project, and wait for that to finish. Now, this is where the 10 minutes or less is highly variable. If you have a ton of content, it's going to take a while to compile all of that. But at the end, you'll get an executable, and I'll go ahead and cancel this, obviously. And your executable will look something like this. So this is the project. Under Windows Note Editor, I now have this set of files. And this can be zipped up, sent to a teammate, sent to a customer, and you can just launch it and jump right into a professional interface custom application for a VR or desktop multi-user experience. So we have a display name, an accent color that shows up with like some features on your avatar, as well as your laser pointer to show people what you're highlighting. And then you get a connection type. So this could be a solo session just for you, or a local network connection, or even our favorite, the internet connection. Now, the one caveat with the internet connectivity is that we do rely on Steam. So you and any of your stakeholders who are not in that same network are going to need to have the Steam client installed and running as a background process. And we are working on alternatives to that in the near future. And if that is an issue for you for an upcoming project, we can talk to you about some workarounds or some ways to make it work for you. But if you do have internet or another local section, you can either host your own or join, and those servers will automatically pop up. So you don't need to be typing in IP addresses. You don't need to be altering your routers and gateway information or doing port forwarding if you're familiar with those more advanced Unreal Engine requirements. It's all really just meant to be out of the box. And then you can choose your platform for VR or desktop and simply connect. And instead of having an actual multi-user experience right now, you can see them right here in that scene. Oops, flying around. So this can be sent to a client and they can experience your project for themselves. But I'll show you a quick video on one of the more cut together versions of this. So this is a session we did just the other week in the same project. Dylan, Zach, some other teammates joined me in VR, and we were able to use our tools like the VR camera, where you can change exposure, zoom in, and even render out a 4K image. And here is an example of our whiteboard with a pen. You can sketch and draw in VR and desktop, soon to be desktop. And then other people can actually join and draw on your same whiteboard as well. And we can easily support 10 plus people. There's no functional limit on how many people are in there. This is an example of that conference room where you can load your own content. And that's the general sizzle reel of multi-user collaboration, specifically for virtual reality. And what's really great about the way we've set up Optim is that as the Unreal Engine developer, as the packager of the project, you really only need the one seat, the one license for Optim. Anyone else who joins, anyone else who needs to be in your session, we don't really care. They don't need to have a license. You don't need to pay for them. This project, once it's packaged, is just yours to share and do with what you will. So I will close this video and briefly go into a little more detail on some of the finer technical points, and then we'll be opening up to questions pretty soon. So to show you that conference room level that comes with the Optim content, if you go to Optim, Template, Maps, Conference Room, we have a level here. And we do plan on updating our assortment of template content to support more industry-specific use cases, more industry-specific environments, and industry-specific tools. So if you have any future requests, we'd love to hear it so we can pre-package all of that for you. So this is the conference room design studio that we've created that is totally yours to take and expand or use. It's a wide open area. You can load anything from a scale model of a building to motorcycle, fighter jet, anything in between. And we also have a conference room if you wanted to pretend like you're sitting in chairs. And these whiteboards are all completely drawable, so you can all get around and actually have a nice collaborative SketchUp meeting. And we plan to even expand this further to have a little more interactivity and even more usefulness later on. And the quick heads up for other Optim content here in the Optim template folder, we do have all the blueprints here. So if you know what you're doing or you need to expand it, you actually get access to all of our content. So you could replace those avatar meshes, expand them, add your own functionality, branding, whatever you need to do. And then one quick note about any troubleshooting. If your packaging does not work, or if you check your error log and it's throwing up any red errors, just make sure you have the right plugins enabled. They should automatically come over, but if things go wrong, you go to the Edit menu, go to Plugins, and then make sure that both Optim and Optim Template plugin is enabled. And another one could be the Niagara plugin, making sure that that is enabled as well. And again, these should just work out of the box. And if you do have any problems, we're very, very responsive on support. So just go and follow that support link from within the Optim Toolkit, and we will help you out very quickly. Okay, so let me just wrap up a couple points and get your questions in here. I see a few. I will address, some people ask about Oculus Quest support. That is upcoming. You could make it work. However, out of the box, I don't believe it will. We have recently optimized all of our meshes and textures and content to be way more mobile friendly, but still need to fine tune the actual interactivity support. We do support all the major desktop headsets, whether it's Vive or Oculus or any of the Windows mixed reality ones like HP Reverb. And if you have an Oculus Quest link cable, I believe that should work if you're treating it as a desktop headset. All right, on to questions and answers. Can we still use the optimized model if your subscription is not current? So Optim does come with a monthly subscription if you're on the starter or pro plan. And once you've cleaned up your meshes, they are all yours. So if your subscription subsides or expires or you cancel it, any of your models are completely yours to have. There would be a couple things that would conflict that we could point out to you. For example, if you have an Optim specific class within your project, such as our post-process volume, you could simply remove that and everything would package just fine. However, for actually compiling any of our code, like the VR templates, we do require a subscription at that point. But once you've got it optimized in the editor, or once you've packaged your VR template, those two things will work without a subscription. We have a question about the multi-user for what platform it uses. I think I may have answered that early with technology-wise, we do leverage Steam for the networking of it. You can host it in the cloud if you were to set up a server like on Amazon, put your application up there and just make it a server that is always waiting for someone else to join. But you can run these sessions as a solo session or multi-user session again. Another question about any VR users needing to have a high-end desktop. Currently, everything is run locally on any machine. So if you want someone to have the best high-quality experience, they will have to have a device capable of that, like dedicated graphics card, VR ready, as it was called for a while. We do plan on supporting more cloud streaming technologies in the future. If you have a specific use case you're trying to work with, just let us know. And if you already have a solution like that you're working with a cloud partner, or perhaps you have a completely different custom program like Cave Setup, for example, that should work just fine with this template. Because as long as you've hooked it up and that player can join as that type of pawn, it will work with all of our other ones as well. There's a cool question about spatialized audio. So we do have spatialized audio. So there is a minimum level so that people can't accidentally get lost and no one can hear each other. However, for example, in this room, at one end of the room, they are quieter than if they're close to you, and it is directional so that you get a sense of where they are. Even if you're in desktop mode, if you were to be wearing headphones, you would understand where people generally are in the room. And we currently have just one option for like muting yourself. We do plan on having a lot more support for more Zoom-like features for muting specific participants or muting everybody except for yourself, similar to how this webinar is set up. Okay, I tended to go through all that really quickly, so I'm running out of questions from you guys. I will say definitely go and download the trial of Optim. There's a 14-day free trial. If you have previously had a trial and tried out like our initial release late last year, we'd be happy to extend that for you and make sure you get a fair shot at using the collaborative features or using the new in-editor toolkit. But this should be a great starting point for you to get your hands in there, look up any documentation. You can email us. We're very community focused, so we offer complimentary one-on-one demos, training sessions if you're unsure if it's going to work for your workflow or not. We're definitely all about making sure it's going to work out for you guys and your team. So I'll hold on here for just another minute in case something else pops up. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining this webinar. Again, keep your eyes out for any future ones. For example, the different ways you could use cluster merging, or the different ways you could use some other toolkit features, could have their own deep dive webinars coming up. And if you have any questions or confusions, let us know and we can plan around how to speak to that as well.